This is Sessions with Sara Cate and Ashley, a podcast that explores the feelings, emotions, and experiences of what it means to be human in this world. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only and is not meant to replace therapeutic services of any kind. Please refer to the list of references if you need support.
And before you dive in, please like, subscribe, comment, share with anyone you think might also connect with today's session. Our goal is to reach as many people as possible, and we are endlessly grateful for your continued support. So, let's get to it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Sessions with Sara Cate and Ashley. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Sara Cate.
I'm going to honestly not even describe to you what we're talking about today, because I think I literally just told Sara Cate, say exactly what you just said, word for word.
Which made me immediately start sweating because I was like, I don't remember what I just said.
But we're gonna, well, actually, okay. So one of the things that Sara Cate just said was that we have an opportunity right now to help us learn how to regulate our nervous system when things seem chaotic. And so that's kind of an intro into this, but I'm going to let Sara Cate really tell you the difference between safety and certainty and what she's seeing in her clients right now, and why we have.
Why
on earth you would say we have a golden opportunity right now.
Yes, to practice. So what came through for me this week in what I wanted to bring to our sessions with Ashley was the relationship and also the disconnect between safety and certainty. And the difference between the two, but also the relationship between the two. And when I say safety versus certainty, the reality is the political climate that we are in, let's not call it spade a spade. The political climate that we are in is creating this sense of deep unknown and unrest of what is happening, what is coming. And so I find so many of my clients want the certainty of knowing. I want to know what to do. I want to know how to fix this. I want to know how to stop this, right? And that is certainty. That is this, if I know exactly what to do or what to say or who to be or how to be, then it gives us this false sense of safety because it's essentially from this false belief that we can be certain about something.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. Whereas the difference between being certain about something and being safe is safety in our bodies can be accessed even if we are uncertain. Mm-hmm. Safety in our bodies can be found in a time of unknown. Mm-hmm. Right? But and that's why I was saying it is a golden opportunity to practice this, because most of my days right now are filled with helping people literally sit in the uncertainty and the unknown. Mm-hmm. And still being able to feel slight regulation in their bodies or mm-hmm. slight stability of their nervous system, even for brief moments of time. Mm-hmm. And so, because there is no certainty right now,
right,
in so many ways, but we kind of live with this narrative in our culture that we can be certain about something. We can, if I do the right things, that guarantees me a certainty of getting what I want or what I think I want or think I need or think, right? And they're just, safety and certainty are not the same. Right. They're just not the same. But we so tend towards mm-hmm. wanting to control when we feel so out of control, but there is this possibility, and I don't mean that every day, all day you feel safe and grounded and regulated. I just mean that there can still be moments throughout your day that you can find a degree of safety in your body of even a breath of, okay, I'm here, and right now in this moment, I am okay.
Right.
And then go back into the chaos.
Right. Well, I think it's scary. It's just really scary, and it's really hard, right? Yeah. Especially now. I think always there's a little bit of chaos in our individual lives, or we could describe it as chaos. But I think especially now with the added extra things that are going on. There's a lot of people who are scared, and rightfully so. I mean, I am too.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and I know that I am much more productive for myself, meaning like I'm productive in caring for myself. I'm productive as a friend, as a partner, as a coworker, as an employee, as all of these things when I can find some grounding within myself.
Mhm.
And ultimately, I don't do this for anybody else other than myself, right? The
Mhm.
search for finding that little bit of grounding or safety, like Sara Cate was talking about, in the midst of this uncertain time. Because now, there are definitely days where I spin in the chaos just like everybody else, and I
Mhm.
let that uncertainty drive all of my thoughts and all of my
Yes.
actions.
Yes. Yes.
And that I'm not shaming myself for that. I I wish that I would never have another one of those days again, but I don't, that's would be unrealistic. I'd be setting myself up for disappointment for sure if I did that. But really, I don't want to feel shitty every single day of my life. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
I decide that I'm going to keep doing this work to
Mhm.
find that little bit of safety, to practice. And it is a practice. It is very much a practice. Some days I'm really good at it, and some days it's like I've never done it before.
Mhm. Right. And I think, you know, the sense of like our thoughts and our cognition of what's happening in the world differently from our bodies in a moment, right? Because our thoughts are so easy to follow a thread or follow, like you say, when you go up into the chaos of it, often it's because a piece of news information came in or someone texted you something and you're super activated and then it's like, well, what's going to happen? What should I say? What should I do? Right? Like it's a very thought-based experience to feel the chaos, to
Mhm.
notice the chaos separate from what we have an opportunity and access to is okay, can my thoughts, right? This is a very edging on meditation ideas and concepts, but like, can my thoughts be there? But
Mhm.
I can take 3 deep breaths and feel the depth of the breath in my own body
Mhm.
and slow my heart rate down, slow my respiration down, which lowers our blood pressure, right? Like my thoughts can still be in this channel, but my
Mhm.
body can start to slow the
Yeah.
mind down. Our mind follows our
Yeah.
body,
Yeah.
right? And so then like how does it diffuse your thoughts a little bit or how does it kind of shift you into, really bringing you more into your prefrontal cortex of like cause and effect, there's nothing to do in this moment. So
Right.
then does that give me access? Okay, if there's nothing for me to do right now, and I'm standing here in my kitchen and nothing bad is happening in this specific moment, can I take 3 more deep breaths
Mhm.
and feel again just a
Mhm.
little bit more connected to this space
Yeah.
rather than the future tripping or back into the past of what bad has happened, right?
Right.
Can we get into this present moment? And that is safety,
Right.
right? It's not certainty because we don't know what's coming, what's happening.
Mhm.
It is those safety in our body of like, I know right now if I am not in a critical moment of crisis, am I okay?
Right.
Right? Like am I uninterrupted in this breath?
Right.
Yes. And
Yeah.
that's all we have. That is the only thing that really is truly certain is like the
Truly.
inhale and the exhale.
Truly. And I think it's really important that you said, like, my thoughts can still be there. I
Mm,
think we can interpret what meditation or what mindfulness is sometimes where we think we're supposed to be absent of thought.
yeah.
Really, it's allowing the thoughts to be, but not necessarily having to attach to those thoughts or having to take those thoughts into our body.
Yeah.
It's mindfulness is being aware that our thoughts
Hmm.
are there, and
Watching the highlight reel, but
right,
not.
but not assigning our body to them.
Yeah.
And so just like we can have the thoughts there and have a different felt sense in our body, we can still have uncertainty and a different felt sense of safety in our body.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. So true. And I think, I like that you kind of specified what some of the conversations I find to be unhelpful conversation, but that's my opinion. Some of the unhelpful conversations around meditation. We just had a conversation about around like bypass and how sometimes bypassing something can be helpful and sometimes bypassing can be a coping strategy that doesn't allow you to actually feel.
Mhm.
And when we think about just abandoning all thought, having an empty mind, that isn't for the majority of us a likely possibility. We have children and animals and partners and jobs and like that we are more stimulated than we have ever been
Mhm.
in the history of human evolution. And so to try to set a goal for ourselves to get to a state of like pure detachment probably isn't likely, but to be able, like you said, to again finding and which could give us this degree of safety of like I can watch all of the scary, hard, uncomfortable thoughts and still feel grounded right now in my body. I can feel my back against the chair. I can feel my legs in the seat. I can hear the sound of the breeze and the birds outside, right? And I can see that there's all of this noise happening too in my cognitive channel. And so
Right.
it's so that ability to dually track
Mhm.
both here's my thought, here's my fear, here's my worry, and here's my breath, and here's my ground, right? Like that is the access to being uncertain and still finding some safety.
Yeah. And, the cool thing about all of this is they're counting on us
Yeah.
to get lost in the chaos.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
they're that's what they're that's what they're looking for. They're counting on us to be just out of control and unable to organize and unable to be with ourselves. But ultimately, the biggest act of resistance in all of this is staying grounded within ourselves, is noticing that there is uncertainty and being able to find safety within ourselves. Because if we're moving from a place of authentic safety within ourselves, guess what? Our mobilization is going to be so much more powerful. It is going to create change. It is going to bring people together. It is
Yeah.
going to do all of these things that we're hoping for in this current state of affairs.
Yeah. Yeah. And, when I say to also really be careful with this phrase too of saying safety, right? Like sometimes we can believe that certainty is safety,
Mm,
right? Like when in our lives let's say we've been in an abusive relationship
mhm,
and we knew that every time they drank, we were going to have to really pay attention. We were going to have to really watch our steps, right? There is a degree of safety in that certainty of knowing that behavioral pattern,
mhm,
right? Of like, I know that I have to do X, Y, or Z when this is happening. That is certainty. And that does breed uh, a concept of safety
mhm. Specifically for your nervous system.
for your
Because,
nervous system. That
yeah,
hypervigilance
yeah.
is in some capacity safety.
Mhm,
Right. And so I want to be very clear about that because I obviously work with all the types of abuse that are out there, mental, emotional, physical. And it is amazing how our nervous systems do protect us in that time, right? Like they put us in that hypervigilant state to really pay attention to someone's facial expressions or bodily cues or
mhm,
our environment, right? We're constantly hyper orienting. And so I want to be very mindful of that as we have this conversation, because if you are, in a type of situation where you're creating a degree of safety for yourself because of the certainty of action and movement and things, that's understandable as well.
mhm.
We're kind of talking about a different type of safety, which is that you find within your own self
Right,
and your own capacity in your own body.
right.
Right. And so even if there's the hyper orientation in the moment when you're around somebody that is unsafe for you, then in the 10 minutes that you have in your car by yourself, or the half an hour doctor visit that you have to go to, or in your work day on your lunch when you're away from maybe the unsafe environment. Can you take a few deeper breaths? Can
Mm-hmm.
you help your body relax just a moment when you are maybe in the protection of your car by yourself, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, however that might look, right? Like we can still access that bodily autonomy
Mm-hmm.
outside to really align and help our system in a way that we can when we're separate from that environment, if that's the
Right.
possibility. So I
Yeah.
wanted to mark that as starting to kind of create some dissemination between the ideas of what safety is, because yes, it is, we do have to stay very safe in very unsafe spaces by looking for that certainty and that consistency. And also, so too can we find that in our own bodies that is ours and
Yeah.
nobody else's. Nobody gives us that. Nobody has access to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's so our bodily agency, which Ashley is a huge advocate for. And a lot of, I know your work centralizes around that as a concept of this bodily agency, and really recognizing like you are the owner
Yeah.
of this body when the world
Yeah.
has told us that it's theirs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And,
want to clear that up, say that.
um, that body agency, that we've said this word, I think like 4 or 5 times already this episode, but like it's practice. So
Yeah.
like, let's talk about what that practice is like, because again, like full disclosure, some days I'm off the rails.
You
And
and me both.
some days I am really, really just grounded and truly feeling that like safety feeling that we are talking about. And so maybe we can both share some of the things that we do
Yeah.
personally. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so I kind of want to go back to like when I had no idea how to start. And I was having a really hard time with the
Mhm.
whole thought thing of like the thoughts are happening and how do I not attach myself to these thoughts? Like people are saying like, okay, those thoughts can be there, but they
Mhm.
don't have to dictate your next action or however they would like say that in
Right.
so many other ways or words or whatever. I literally thought it was a bunch of crap. Like I literally was like, this, you
Oh,
are insane. This is not possible. Like we have these thoughts for a reason. Well, yeah, we have thoughts for a reason because we have seen certain things in our life, right?
mhm.
And our brains are designed to keep us safe.
Yeah.
And so it's trying to protect us in all of the ways. And when we see all of these things, it's going overboard. But our brain, that's it's different than having the connection to our physical body,
Mhm.
right? Think of it, I had to literally think of it as two separate things of almost like I had to literally picture like my brain, my like physical brain being separate from my body for a little bit to be able to see that it was separate from what I could do with my physical body.
Mhm.
To see that there were two things going on, right? Just like you can have like two different cups sitting in front of you with two completely different things in. They're both cups. Doesn't mean they hold the
Yeah.
same thing, right? My brain is over here. It's holding one kind of process. My body is over on the other side holding a different kind of process in all of this.
Yeah.
And that concept of understanding for me was really important because I had a hard time not attaching myself to those thoughts.
Yep.
The other part of that I found really comforting, to be honest, was knowing that I didn't have to get rid of those thoughts because that felt overwhelming and impossible.
Oh,
And this
yeah.
is not about getting rid of those thoughts. This is about being able to set them down on the table in front of you and say,
Mhm.
okay, I can see it's right there. Like those thoughts are right there. They can stay right there.
Mhm.
And I know exactly where they are. They're
Mhm.
not now going all over the place, wreaking havoc within me because I have
Yeah.
removed myself, that physical part of my body, I've removed it away from it. And it
Mhm.
was like kind of thinking of it along, hopefully that makes sense, but thinking of it along those terms helped me because I was so uncomfortable with thinking that like I had to somehow figure out how to not have thoughts. bad, like, and these like
Yeah.
bad
How to
thoughts, right?
not have thoughts.
How
I'm
am I
gonna figure
supposed
out how to not have this.
Right. Like, how am I supposed to
Totally.
like not have anxiety about these things? Like, how am I supposed to not be thinking like worst case scenario when like I'm really scared about some things, you know?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and how am I supposed to like not, and then if I think about it, then does that mean it's going to happen? Right. That's
Right.
the other side of
Right.
all of these things, is because I'm thinking it, it automatically means that then I'm like putting it into the universe
Am
and
I
it's
gonna
gonna
quote
happen.
manifest it?
Right. Yeah. And so yeah, so that's where I had to start. I literally had to practice seeing it separately and really making the conscious effort every single day to remind myself of that. Like, I had sticky notes on my door
Yes.
so that I would see it before I walked out of my apartment,
Yeah.
literally every single day.
Habit.
Yeah.
It has to become
Yeah.
habit, right? The
And
con
just,
for the
yes.
conversation to change.
Yes. And every time I'm working with clients, just I tell them, I think I tell every single person I work with this same exact thing. Just like if you were starting to learn how to play an instrument, you would
Mhm.
have to have conscious practice daily,
Mhm.
or well, daily would get
Mhm.
you there fastest, right?
Mhm.
In order to then be able to read music and play by heart and or play
Mhm.
by sound, just by hearing, and then be able to like reiterate it, right? We can't expect ourselves to go into this and
Mm-mm.
not give that same respect to this practice, because it's just not going to happen. It's just,
Yeah.
we don't get taught this part.
Mm-mm.
We get taught how to like learn how to play an instrument or play a sport or whatever it is. We don't
But
get
not how to listen to ourselves.
Right. We don't get taught that we can apply those same principles to understanding our body.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. And it's the habit and the pattern becomes the you checking in, you
Mhm.
noticing, you being aware, right? You seeing the difference between those things.
Mhm.
And that, like you said, it just is, it's, we aren't taught how to continually revisit this
Mhm.
and to stay with ourselves and
Yeah.
to pause
Yeah.
long enough even just to see the difference between our thoughts and ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. It was literally like when I finally started to feel it, or notice, right? Because that's what happens. You practice and you practice and you practice, and then all of a sudden something goes on and you're like, wow, I was so different through that experience.
Mm-hmm.
It almost feels like it happens overnight. I mean, it didn't. I put in so much work, right? And it wasn't an overnight process, but I think sometimes when we realize that we've reacted differently, it can kind of feel like that. But let me
Mm-hmm.
tell you, man, it's so cool. And then you're like, dang, look what I
Look
did.
at what I did. It's real.
And then you get people around you being like, wow, you seem different. You seem
Yeah.
grounded. You seem okay. Like you seem, and it's like, then we get that, like, the acknowledgement that we can give ourselves then of like, you did this work for yourself. Again, I'm doing this for nobody but myself, because I want to feel differently in my body. I
Mhm.
want to move forward in this world differently than feeling like crap every single day. Cause trust
Yeah.
me, I've done that and it ain't
It's not where it's at.
right.
Totally. That's beautiful. And it's, I mean, just just such a strong takeaway there of the practice,
Yeah.
right? Like giving yourself permission. And then all of a sudden you have this, like you said, those awarenesses of the moments where it's different, all of it. Like you're like, wow,
Mhm.
right? But nothing is really ever all of a sudden. It's because
Mhm.
you've
Mhm.
taken the time to practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And kind of mine's similar to that and slightly different, where I just got really, really focused on in the moment what I was feeling.
Mhm.
Like I would have to ask, what am I feeling right now? And that sometimes looks like me having to close my eyes and putting one hand on my heart, one hand on my belly to silence everything else.
Mhm.
But for me, like I'll say it even when I'm in session with clients. I'll be like, hold on, what am I feeling right now? Right. And yes, it's a modeling to them around that, but it really is truly how I get in the hell into my body.
Mhm.
To stop putting everything into a thought or an idea or again, moving it out of our bodies and away from us. But I come back towards like felt sense. We call it interoception, the ability to internally notice what we're feeling and sensing.
Yeah.
And that is not thought. That sometimes it's like I'm feeling it feels like sandpaper in my chest right now. Right. And that's it. That is and over time, I've developed a correlation between the feeling of sandpaper in my chest and a certain type of anxiety that I experience where I'm like, oh, wow, maybe that's going to be a no for me then. If I am noticing this sandpaper
Yeah.
reaction in my body, it doesn't even have to be, okay, I shouldn't go do that thing because of X, Y, or Z. It's just, then I know that probably isn't something that's going to be good for me right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't I don't even have to go further into the thought process because I'm just like, I know what this felt sense means
Yeah.
to me.
Yep.
Right? Through then processing with my
Yep.
therapist and moving, those sensations and becoming more aware of them and the connections and correlations in my life. And so that is like gold to me of like, hold on, what am I feeling right now? And I do this with my partner. I do this with my friends where I'm like, I just need, and like Ashley, a couple of sessions ago said something really, really great about us being able to support each other in that, right? Like maybe if you're doing this work or somebody else who is, it's great to be able to be like, hey, what do you notice in your body right now? Like if you're having a conversation with a friend and they're like, I just don't know, I don't know, and they're kind of like rolling over that, you could even cue them and say, okay, so yes, the thoughts are happening. What do you feel in your body right now? Is there a sensation? Right. And people are going to, I mean, so many times my clients, and probably and I know when I first started doing this work myself, I was like, I just feel stressed. I just feel tense. Right. Like I would use these like
Yeah.
emotional categories to label what I was actually feeling. But now I'm down to that granular understanding of,
Yeah.
oh no, I feel like there's a tight line right at my diaphragm and it's pulling out right to left in my body. And it feels really thin, but it's also like kind of as weak as a piece of tissue paper. Like it
Yeah.
feels like it could break at any second.
Yeah.
Right. Which for me is a sign I'm unsafe.
Yeah.
Something in this doesn't feel safe to me. I can't feel below my diaphragm. I can't feel my
Yeah.
root, and so it's just for me that if I can get away from thought for even a breath to be like, what do I feel? Feel
Yep.
specific.
I know. And the correlation that Sara Cate has between the certain anxiety and the sandpaper feeling in her chest, that didn't come
Mm-mm.
from practicing one time. And I think, when we think of like, okay, consistency, right? Like people will think, okay, I did this for 3 days and then I didn't check in with myself for 3 days after that. So I fell off the wagon. No, that's not what we're talking about with consistency. It's that like, okay, you just keep going.
Yeah.
On then the fourth day, then you're back to it. And maybe then it's every other day for a little bit, but you continue to go. You are continuously making the decision and to be focused or whatever you want to describe it as. But it's honestly like I was smiling and kind of laughing to myself as Sara Cate was describing, because when I first like will ask my clients that, but like, what does that feel like in their body?
Mm-hmm.
Then I tell them like, I'm like, okay, but give me some like physical descriptors of like what your body
What that
actually
is.
feels like
Yeah.
the eye rolls. And
They're
like
like,
the
oh,
way they look at me and I'm like, I know.
I know.
I
I
know.
know. Here's the
But
touchy feely
then
side of
I
it.
know, but then when they start to say like, hey, I was with my partner and I experienced this feeling in my body, it's like I want to freaking
Erupt.
pop all the champagne, because it's like, oh my gosh, you got to understand, you got to feel your own body. Like that is so sacred. Nobody can take that away from us. And
Mm-mm.
just don't be unfair to yourself and think that you have to have it figured out
Mhm.
tomorrow, because that's not what this is
Yeah.
about. And if we could, like, we miss everything if
Mhm.
if that's what we try to do.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. And to kind of round back before I see Ashley shuffling some things out of view over there. So we're getting ready for our bi-weekly card pull, if you will. Um, yeah, just to round that out, right? Like, so this is even more of a conversation around if certainty is something that you struggle with, if needing to know is something that you struggle with, right? And like clearly right there, I said needing to know, which means the mind needs to know. Try even in that moment of like, I'm trying to find a solution, I'm trying to find an answer to this. Okay, let me see what I feel in my body, right? And can you feel a full breath?
Mm-hmm.
What does that feel like?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe put yourself even in a moment in the safest, truly the safest place you know. Maybe that's your grandmother's house. Maybe that is your childhood bedroom. Maybe that is in a sunny patch under a specific tree. Whatever it is, the place that you feel calm, quiet, contained, supported, safe, stable.
Mm-hmm.
See if you can just remember that in a moment. If you're in the uncertainty of the thoughts, and you can say, can I get into my body for a second? Try to find that and see what safety feels like. Maybe use some descriptor words
Yeah.
to, oh, when I'm at my grandmother's house, I feel a warmth in my chest, or I can smell fresh baked cookies, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of practice that. How do I actually notice safety in my body? Right. That's kind of another layer to this of like, when I'm actually in a safe environment, what does that feel like? And
Yeah.
start to look at sensation words and the felt senses to describe that. Because then when you're in that uncertainty, you're in that fear, and you can close your eyes and channel back into what that feels like in your body, it totally slows that mind down.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, what you got for us, girl?
Well, listen,
Listen.
this is no.
Just that there's, I know if we were to go back through all the sessions, we could literally create a reel of the shit that we say over and over and over again. And that would be one of yours. Listen.
For sure. I really would.
Okay.
But we are not surprised that
No.
this is incredibly fitting,
Mm-hmm.
what we just talked about. And
Let's
that's
hear
what I just love about life. So we got the chameleon.
it. Mm.
Okay. So the highlight, remain flexible when it comes to dealing with the changing circumstances of life.
Well, shit.
That's honestly what I said in my head when I saw this, and then I promptly stuck the card in the book and closed it because I was like, too much right now.
Too much magic.
We gotta just wait till the end.
Right of it.
Okay. So chameleon is a highly adaptable creature when it comes to blending into any environment. As bright and colorful as they are, chameleon prefers to blend in rather than stand out. They represent flexibility when it comes to interacting with a wide range of changing life circumstances.
Mhm.
Call on these beautiful spirits when you need help adapting to certain situations that take you out of your comfort zone. They
Ooh,
are here to show you that you can still maintain your unique vibrancy and sense of identity even when blending in.
yes.
I know. I know. Chameleon will help you have the discernment of knowing when to remain in the background and when to stand out. When you
Mm-hmm.
choose to stand out, remember that you are safe and protected. These
Mm.
powerful animal guides will help you adapt to the changing environment around you and remain flexible.
Chameleon energy,
Right?
please. Well, that just drove it home.
Drove it up.
Remember, when you choose to stand out, you are safe and protected. I love that.
Yeah, that was my favorite. And they're here to show you that you can maintain your unique vibrancy and sense of identity,
Yes,
even
yes.
in the changing circumstances. That's
Back to
exactly what we're
yourself.
talking about.
Back
That's
to yourself.
yes, the chaos, but you get to remain in your own
Yeah,
vibrancy.
yeah. Which I mean, I just think historically speaking, right? If we look at populations that have endured
Mm,
histories of unrest and dictatorships and wars and genocide and all of these things, right? What is the lifeblood of that, right? And it is their culture, and it is their sense of identity and self, right? Even though people have tried to strip it off of other humans for millennia,
mhm.
like that has remained in so many spaces in the world. And I just think that is so we as more of an individualistic society have lost a lot of that in America and in North America. And I think that coming back to that sense of like, where is my safety in self? And what does that actually mean, though? How am I a part of the collective of
Mhm.
unique rebellion
Yeah.
to what we're being told?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, Ashley.
Oh,
And as always, we are here to support, not tell you what you need to do with your body or how you need to do it. We are here to offer tools, and if you practice and they resonate, awesome. Share it with anybody who else you might think that it would resonate with. Um, and otherwise, leave the rest. We are just here to kind of create conversation, not create any sort of added pressure
yeah.
around this life.
Yes. Okay. And until next time, take care, self-compassion,
Yes.
and we'll see you next time.
Breaths of safety.
There you go. Okay. Bye.